Touch upon the speech a lot earlier by my honourable friend, member for Orpington, who spoke about sport and the huge contribution made by black people to sport. And as a Newcastle United fan, I remember growing up and Andy Cole was my icon, and I had a massive picture of Andy Cole behind my bed, and I was devastated and went to school crying when Manchester United actually purchased it. But then we got our next superstar, Les Ferdinand, also a black football player from Queen's Park Rangers. So that's how I grew up, and also being a member of Parliament for Ipswich Town. I've also got to mention Titus Bramble and Kieran Dyer, two fantastic players who have played for both Newcastle and Ipswich, who are also black. In Ipswich we have a significant black community. Only a few weeks ago I gave some Caribbean and African Health Support Forum, who do fantastic work in the town, supporting the community there with regards to specific health issues that impact the black community in Ipswich more than other communities as well. We do, and I'm incredibly proud to represent them and work with them closely, and will continue to do so. I'll talk briefly in terms of the curriculum. I think that we should, in our history curriculum, teach a shared history, a history that, in my view, teaches people that we have got things wrong in the past, and we should look at the different ways in which that is the case. But of course, never loses sight of the fact that we remain the greatest country on the planet this current day. But I think that when we're teaching, I think there is more of a role, and there's further we could go in terms of teaching the history of black people in this country, the contributions they've made. But I'm very keen that's done as part of a shared history. I wouldn't support anything that promotes separateness and alternative historical narratives. I mean, ultimately, we've got to have white boys and girls, black boys and girls, other boundaries, all in the same classroom, learning a shared history together, and that does include looking at the injustices that have happened in the past. It does include that, but it also includes the message that there is so much more that binds us together than that separates us all as well. Touching upon current issues in the media, like other honourable members, I was appalled by the death of George Floyd. I was absolutely appalled. I would say I found it slightly disappointing. I think that the vast majority of people who have gone on the protests, I think, are well-meaning, and I agree with the honourable member for Wickham that we should listen to their strength of their feeling and how they feel. But I do think it is unfortunate that some of the leadership figures of BLM have at times strayed beyond what should be a powerful yet simple and unifying message in opposition to racism that still exists in our society, straying into cultural Marxism, the abolition of the nuclear family, defunding the police, overflowing capitalism. So in some senses, I find it quite regretful that a message and an agenda that should have been unifying at times has been allowed to become very divisive. But ultimately, it's our duty to make sure the right messages are learnt from that horrific incident. And I think that it needs to be one of unity, moderation, and looking to improve upon the situation we have today, where we know that racism still exists. I'd also, looking at the petition, like to be a little bit careful about the term institutional racism. Yes, I think we need to be alive for the fact that there will be individuals who harbour racist views within key institutions, whether they be schools or the police, and they need to be rooted out. But I think to smear an entire organisation as being institutionally racist, again, I think is incredibly unhelpful and divisive. I remember the honourable member for Saffron Ward, and I remember her speaking 3 or 4 years ago about this topic, and I thought she'd be a future mayor of London at the time, actually. And right now, I wish she was. However, we have an opportunity, perhaps next May, to get the first black mayor of London, and I hope that the people of London take that. Thank you very much.
Stephen Tim.